Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 School District of Palm Beach County Annual Technology Conference. We are now in session C, and you are in session C-6, which is titled Learn Science, Master STEM, and Be Future Ready with AR and 3D Printing, which is sponsored by Camcor. Just wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Camcor. They are a gold sponsor of this, they are a platinum sponsor for this conference. They've also sponsored this session, and they've brought us two great partners with us from Merge EDU and Boxlight. So a couple of quick housekeeping items before we get started. As always, feel free to participate in the chat on your right. If you haven't, if this is your first time here, click in the chat and create a channel, and then you'll be able to chat. This session will be recorded, and it will be available in the conference platform for the next 30 days, and it will be available on YouTube for the life of our YouTube channel. Just like any good YouTuber, like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links down below. And we'd love to see where you're learning from and hear some of the things that really interested you from this session. So during the day today, please feel free to use the hashtag PBCTechConf. And like us on Twitter at EdTechPBC. So with that being said, again, welcome to Learn Science, Master STEM, and Be Future Ready with AR and 3D Printing, sponsored by Camcor. We've got representatives Braden Moreno and from Boxlight, and then we've got Isabella Gibson from Merge EDU with us today. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead, turn this over to Braden, and he's going to take us from here.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Am I coming in loud and clear?
We hear you loud and clear.
All right. Awesome. Love that. So thank you all so much. I will introduce myself later, but I just wanted to kick this off by talking about something very simple, right? And that is, what is STEM? Okay. And STEM is something you hear a lot. It's a buzzword, or STEAM, right? STEM, STEAM, stream, whatever it may be. But, it's an acronym that stands for something I think we all know, right? Science, technology, engineering, and math. And what I sort of challenge myself and my colleagues all the time on is, how do we reposition the way we think about STEM or STEAM education, right? And so I've sort of jumbled these words up because it correlates a lot to the way that we think about 3D printing. I think Isabella, Merge, and VR and AR think about how they kind of incorporate technology into the classroom. So what I do is I sort of jumble them around, and I say, how do we use easy to use STEM technology like VR, AR, and 3D printing? So how do we use this technology to teach science plus math and other subjects, right? So science, math, social studies, language arts. How do we use this technology to teach core instruction and develop an engineering mindset and career readiness? Okay. So I think those are the important things to sort of take away from some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. And I think if we can accomplish that, if we can weave this technology into core instruction and naturally develop this engineering mindset and naturally develop career readiness, we're going to prepare these students for a much brighter future. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Isabella from Merge EDU, and she'll be talking about her VR AR solution. So Isabella, go ahead and take it over. I'll end my show here.
Thank you, Braden. I think that was a great introduction into the different into STEM, into science and technology. So that's what Merge can help with, to help students understand science, learn science, and use new technologies. And anyone who knows the Merge Cube can comment in the chat room. So the Merge Cube is very well known. The Merge Cube was launched in 2017. And at the beginning, it was used as a toy. So it was a STEM toy. And then in 2019, we launched the Merge EDU platform. And I'm here to tell you about the Merge EDU platform and all its different technical components. So I have the video that I want to show you that explains the different technical components of Merge EDU. So our team developed so much over the last few years. So we have digital teaching aids, we have science simulations, we have STEM projects, we have teacher resources, we have a classroom management system, and we support rostering tools now. So a lot of things happened within the last few years. And for those who don't know Merge EDU yet, the Merge Cube enables you to hold 3D objects in your hand. So I will pause the video right here so we can see the camera of the device scans the pattern of the Merge Cube, which tricks the brain into seeing a 3D object. And you don't just see the 3D object, you also feel the 3D object. So you can hold a solar system in your hand, and you can even do science experiments. Like you can, and it's an app-based technology. So we have two apps, Merge Explorer and Object Viewer. And if we download those apps on our devices and we launch different activities, we can hold literally anything in our hand. So we can hold 3D objects, we can move them around, and we can also interact with them. Like we can see it here in the video, we can do a frog dissection in augmented reality. And that is so awesome because back in the days when I used to go to school, the teacher would do a science experiment in the front. Like we can see here, we can melt ice cubes into water. And especially the students in the back sometimes would barely even see what's going on in the front. So that's why the Merge Cube is so awesome, because it enables an individual learning experience. So each student can explore those science experiments on their own. And some students are faster. They might look at 5 different science experiments or different digital teaching aids. And some students might want to do the same experiments 5 times. They might want to spend some more time looking at 3D objects. And that's why it's so great to use the Merge Cube and Merge EDU. So the first technical component we see in this video is about the science simulations. And we can find those in the app Merge Explorer. So in Merge Explorer, we actually have more than 100 different science simulations. And some of you might know some of our old apps. So we used to have a lot of different apps, and we put them all into Merge Explorer, all the science simulations. And we have about 40 different topic cards, and each topic card has about 1 to 6 different activities. And we can see in the video the topic card types of reactions, and each topic starts off with some text, and it's also connected to Microsoft's Immersive Reader, so we can also translate the text. And then when we launch an activity, we can learn complex subjects. Like here we can add hydrogen and oxygen atoms to create water molecules. So that's so awesome. It's a very easy and fun way to learn about water molecules. And at the end of each topic in Merge Explorer, after I finished all the activities, I will see the quiz. So we have, so all the topics are aligned with the science standards from your state. And we have quizzes from K through 2, 3 to 5, and 6 through 8. And it's multiple choice questions. So the students, if they don't answer the correct answer, if they don't select the correct answer, they will be asked to select the right one. And they will get an explanation why it's correct or why it's incorrect. And the teacher will also see if a student has completed that quiz. So it's a great way to check on the students if they actually do their assignments. So that was the first technical component. The second technical component is about digital teaching aids. So we actually have more than 1,000 digital teaching aids in the app called Merge Object Viewer. And teaching aids or manipulatives have been around for many years because they help explain complex concepts like the solar system, like we can see it in this video, or different organs that you can hold in your hand. And a lot of schools have different collections of teaching aids, like stone collections or collection about different body parts. And in Merge Explorer, we have uploaded more than 1,000 digital teaching aids that are organized in different collections. So we can see here we have a dinosaur collection, we have a collection about the anatomy of the brain, the anatomy of the eye, the circulatory system, different cells. And what is so awesome about the Merge Cube, you enable every student to hold those digital teaching aids at all times, because usually if you have a set of teaching aids in school, you just have one set and you have to share it with different classrooms. So each student really doesn't get a lot of time with the teaching aids. And of course, our collection also includes precious gems that usually schools cannot afford. So we have really everything in there. And you cannot just hold the 3D objects in your hand, you can also place them in the room, which is really great. So in this video, we will see how we can place different animal skulls next to each other in a living room or in the classroom. And we can even put them on paddle stools so we can walk around, look at the 3D objects, which also now involves the kinesthetic sense. So it's really awesome to use world mode as well as the cube mode if you teach science and STEM in the classroom. And this is the second technical component of Merge EDU. And we encourage to use that as well and to explore it, because it's really great to look at the differences, for example, with the animal skulls, to ask the students if they notice any differences about the teeth or the shape of the animal skulls. And we have so many different topics. For example, we also have animal cells. You can compare them to plant cells. Lots of different things you can compare and contrast. The next technical component we see in this video is about teaching STEM. So it's great if students also create their own 3D objects, and then they can upload them into Merge EDU. So we can see here in Tinkercad, it's super easy to upload a 3D object, and then you can view it on the Merge Cube. So here we see some programs we recommend: Tinkercad, Microsoft Paint 3D, Minecraft EDU, SolidWorks, or Maya. Those are all programs to create your own 3D objects, and then you can upload them on the Merge Cube to look at them, because it helps with the design and engineering process, especially before you send it to a 3D printer. It would be great if you upload it and make sure you've created it correctly before you send it to a 3D printer. You will also have an object code, which enables you to share the 3D objects with other student or your teacher, so they can take a look at it also before you send it to the 3D printer. And the last part of the video shows the teacher resources. So we actually have activity plans for all the different topics in Merge Explorer and for the different grade levels. And we also have STEM projects. STEM projects are career-based projects with names like Future Builder and Future Engineer, where students create their own 3D objects. And then some of them also work with, encourage the students to then print their 3D objects with the 3D printer. So that was an overview of Merge EDU, and Braden from Boxlight will now show you how you can use the 3D printers and print your own 3D content.
All right, thank you all so much. Thanks, Isabel. That was awesome. And we're going to be talking a little bit about, sort of at the tail end of this, talking about 3D printing and the impact that can have in the classroom. So we're going obviously from Merge, which is digital, also some elements of obviously kinesthetic learning, but more to like purely focus on kinesthetic learning, right? And so we'll talk a little bit about how to do that with 3D printing. But if you can write in the chat box, if you have done 3D printing successfully in your school, what have you done successfully? Like, what are the type of things you've done? If it's been difficult to implement for those people, what is the thing that you're looking for? Okay, so if you can type that in the chat box or comment section, I'll revisit that in a little bit. So we're gonna go, once again, from Merge, VR, AR, digital, into this physical world where we're creating a kinesthetic learning experience for students using 3D printed models. Okay, so a little bit about me, everyone, just so you have some background here. I am first and foremost a 3D printer nerd. I've been doing 3D printing for almost a decade now. I'm one of the co-founders of Robo 3D printers for education. Once again, we've been doing this since 2013. I'll show you some pictures of that. But this is something that I am super passionate about, and I've seen some incredible success stories of 3D printers in education. And I'm now the director of STEM at a company called Boxlight, but our division is called Mimeo STEM. So how did I get into that role? Our 3D printer company was acquired, so I sort of took over as managing this role. Now this is where we first started. I call myself the OG in 3D just because it was like back in the days, but we were building our first 3D printer in a small garage and launched it on a platform called Kickstarter. So I've been doing this, once again, for a very long time. I come at it from quite a different angle because I've seen how it's evolved over the years. And we're at a point now for educators where we're making it accessible to all educators, whether they're comfortable with using 3D printers or not. That's besides the point. We have gotten so many teachers that aren't tech savvy or don't feel comfortable with the technology, a really simple way to use it to create a new learning experience for their students. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. The one thing I want to just like use as a pillar for this is the power of 3D printing, okay? It hasn't been more prevalent than when we were in the start of the pandemic, okay? 3D printer users around the world came together when we were running into a shortage of PPE equipment, and using design thinking and engineering mindset, they've developed multiple solutions to solve this problem. And they use 3D printers to print, PPE equipment or personal protective equipment for hospitals and clinics, and they donated them. So it was this really cool time to see the power of 3D printing on a global scale really impact a worldwide problem. And that's something that we definitely want to use as a pillar and think about when it comes to this technology. The other thing to understand is that 3D printing is impacting every major industry, okay? This is not just printing plastic in a classroom. That's where it can start, but the technology itself is being used to create organs, okay? So there's a whole industry called bio 3D printing where they're actually making organs that can be implanted in the human body in the future. There's a whole industry around aerospace and automotive where they're using it for engine parts or car parts, things like that. Homes, right? They're 3D printing legitimate homes in a 24-hour period, right? The whole structure of it, like you can see down there in the bottom right. And then obviously product design, probably the one that most people are familiar with, building something from scratch, right? And so a lot of what we do in our design challenges is talk about the design thinking process and building a product from scratch. So a couple of key things to look for in 3D printers for education, okay? And these are just really important. This is like how we looked at when we were coming into education. What are the type of things we need in a product in order to satisfy what we believe are the most important things for educators to have, okay? So safe and enclosed, right? These are things that are really important. Obviously quiet, not disruptive to a space. Easy to use is a no-brainer, right? In terms of capabilities, it needs to have certain things in terms of Ethernet, connectivity, whatnot. But it also needs to, you see at the bottom there, have a robust curriculum. Okay, so I talked about in that first little intro about how do we weave technology into core instruction. The way to do it is with a robust curriculum. And I'm going to show you our curriculum platform briefly and how it works with a 3D printer. But we give teachers all different subjects and grade levels a way to weave 3D printing into that instruction. And then the other thing is accessibility, right? Making it simple for teachers. We don't want just the tech savvy teachers of the world using 3D printers and being the go-to person. We want to make it accessible for all teachers, whether they've used this technology or not. That's something that's really important. And so we developed two machines to sort of answer that. answer that accessibility, answer some of those feature sets, but also tie it into a curriculum platform where you're going to be able to use these in your core instruction. So MyStemKits.com is that curriculum platform. It has now over 500 K-12 lessons across multiple different subjects and grade levels. It has design and engineering challenges, and I'll show you how you can kind of weave that into the instruction. And it has a 3D printer management platform that works with over 75 different brands of 3D printers. So, you know, this sounds somewhat salesy, but really for me, I've seen the success rates go up dramatically when people use a platform like this to take their 3D printers and weave it into their core instruction. I'm going to show you the platform real quick because I want to show you how it works. I get a lot of sighs of relief when I show this platform to people. So I'm going to do that real quick. Let me see. Is there any questions that came in? I don't know, Mike, if anything. I wasn't looking at the chat box. So if anything did come in, please let me know.
Nope, doing good. A lot of people, you know, have 3D printers. They're excited to use it, but you know, talking about challenges with, you know, either speed or complicated software. And I think a lot of that is stuff that your team has solved in the Boxlight solutions.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I hear the speed quite a lot. The one thing I will say, and what we talk about is like when you're going, I'll show you some of these lessons, but planning ahead, printing these manipulatives, and then you can do this activity over and over again with different classes that come through. So the norm for 3D printers in education is you buy hardware and you either do one of two things. You either have to go piece together a bunch of content online, go find lessons, maybe go to teacher pay teachers, find stuff that, or come up with your own content and curriculum, right? Or you go to a website like Thingiverse or My Mini Factory and you print manipulatives that exist there and you kind of just use them and develop your own lessons with them. What we do in MyStemKits.com is we take your 3D printers. Now, once again, we have our own 3D printers called Robo 3D, which is the one you see right here. But we take 3D printers and you link them into MyStemKits.com. Once again, we want to weave the technology into core instruction. So we don't want you to have to learn how to use software or anything. Register printer, you type a code in on our device, you link it into MyStemKits, and then you go into Browse Kits, and you can filter by grade level, you can filter by subject, you can filter by strands of subjects. We have a little search bar up here, so you can search by topic, subject, standard, and that's both NGSS and state standard. So very, very, you know, a multitude of ways to find content that you can utilize in here, okay? And the purpose of this, once again, is to allow you a very simple way to use 3D printers and in teaching the stuff you're already teaching, okay? So you already have to teach certain standards. You already have to teach certain subjects. Well, if you're going to teach this, why not do it with fun manipulatives and doing hands-on activities with the students? So let's take this ball bearing catapult, for example. Everyone knows trebuchets and catapults, right? So if I click into this kit, I'm going to have a video that walks me through what this kit can do in a classroom. If I scroll down, you'll see there's lesson plans across multiple different grade levels, okay? So you might be using this catapult to teach a math concept about collecting data. You might be using it to teach a science concept, right? But it's broken down in these lesson plans by teacher guide and student worksheet, okay? So you can click into any of these. You can adjust your state and get the standards for it. And once again, these are broken down end to end. The beauty about it on the 3D printing side is if I want to make these catapults, and once again, this is the beginner side of it. If I want to make these catapults, I can just go down to the catapult, click print, and I can send this catapult directly to my 3D printer. Okay, I didn't have to use any software. I didn't have to figure out what I'm doing with the 3D printer. All I have to do is just send it to the printer and it'll start making this catapult. And then once I've created a couple of these, I can use them with these lesson plans over and over again. Okay, so this printer that I'm actually printing to right now is a printer that I have across the country. Okay, so I'm printing to my local 3D printer because we have remote printing capability. So if you're anywhere on the campus, you don't have to be next to the 3D printer. You can send the model to it and start printing that. So yeah, just wanted to show you that. There's a little camera. I can view my 3D print on the platform, but this is my place in San Diego, California. So I'm going to cancel that print. So that's sort of what we want. We want to click, print, and teach mentality with this platform. And then once I feel comfortable as an educator with it, I've used it in my core instruction. I'm creating fun manipulatives. I've kind of reinvented the classroom. We're doing fun stuff. Then I can move into doing design challenges, okay? So once again, weave it into core instruction, then weave in this engineering mindset, okay? So, hey, we printed a couple of these catapults. We've done this lesson plan to learn math or science. Now, students, you're going to design your own catapult. So that's why we have these STEAM design challenges where students will go and use a program like Tinkercad and actually build a model from scratch, okay? And that model is something that, once again, if you have Merge cubes, the students can design those models. They can view them on the Merge cube. They can turn them around, see them in that environment, and then print them and use them in their final design or their final activity. So once again, this platform, just wanted to quickly show it to you. It works with lots of different 3D printers if you already have some. But it gives you a really easy way to use this technology in the stuff that's already being taught in the classroom, okay? Very accessible, very easy, no software required. It's all web-based. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that. And we'll jump back into some 3D printing stories here. Because I know we're getting close on time, but I think we still have a couple minutes.
I do just want to share this comment with you.
Regine. Thank you so much. I need this in my life. I need you to have it in your life too. Trust me. We've been working on this for a very, very long time. And this is an accumulation of MyStemKits. Actually was something we acquired from a content development team in Florida. It was actually developed initially at the Florida Center of Research for STEM at Florida State University. We took their content development team, which was former teachers, and we've just built a tremendous amount of content to help fuel 3D printing usage in the classroom. Okay, so it's really built by teachers for teachers, and it's something that's really important if you have this technology to get it up and running and getting utilized in the classroom. I don't want to go too in depth on this, but our design challenges focus on design thinking and education. Okay, so we go through this process. We tell a story in the design challenges, get students to empathize with it, define what the problem is they're solving, come up with ideas for it, and then create it and prototype it and test it. Okay, so it's just a simple process over and over again in any of our design challenges. And what this does is create a design thinking mindset. We want students to go out into the world and question why things are made the way they are. We want them to think about things differently. We want them, my favorite thing to hear a student, or a young kid in an environment be like, why is it made like that? Or what if I could design it better or something like that, right? So if they're thinking that way, they're gonna be more apt to come up with creative solutions in all aspects of life. So this is something that's very prevalent in all our design challenges in MyStemKits.com. And if we do it this way, right? This is one of my favorite stories in the entire world. This is a teacher, Shelly Emsley, in a small town in Montana, who I met at a trade show, who was like, I think 3D printing is cool, but I have no idea where to start. We said, Shelly, relax, we gotcha. So she ended up doing a donor's choose. She got one of our 3D printers. She got our curriculum platform. She started going through 5th grade lessons in MyStemKits, very simple ones for math, for science, for social studies, things like that. And then said, okay, I think I feel comfortable with this technology. I want to move into design challenges. So she did a couple of design challenges. And one night she's at home and there's a documentary on TV talking about how coral reefs around the world are dying like in massive numbers. Okay. This is like an actual global pandemic right now, or epidemic right now with coral reefs. So she said, what if we could solve this problem? So she went back and she started really simple. She said, students, we're going to design coral reefs in Tinkercad. And we're going to build a beautiful color coral reef wall on our classroom wall. And so they started doing that. They built this coral reef wall. In the meantime, she started connecting with like coral reef scientists and marine biologists on LinkedIn. And what she ended up doing was working with them and her classroom of students and developing these structures using algae-based 3D printing material that could be planted in the ocean that helped inhibit coral growth, okay, using 3D printing. So this is the type of stuff that happens with a teacher that was very not comfortable with using this technology, going through a simple process of using it in core instruction and then taking it to this design thinking engineering mindset to solve a world problem. Okay. And her mentality was, if I can use 3D printing to help these students think bigger than our small town, they're going to be much more like, capable of doing things beyond what they normally think. She always said, like, a lot of the kids have a small town mentality. Well, now they're thinking that they can solve a problem in the world. And so I love this story, and we have tons of stories like this. And so this is the type of stuff, once again, that I live for, that I, really enjoy and love doing. And, if we do this type of stuff in the classroom, we're going to have students like Max that go home and develop their own products and create their own solutions. So Max is a student in San Diego, California, that actually learned how to do design with our design challenges in the classroom and went home and actually made his own electric skateboard and turned it into a company called Felonious Skateboards. So he's selling electric skateboards now just because he learned how to design and he was able to build a battery pack and do this whole thing. So it's a really cool thing. Once again, I love this stuff, and we have a really simple way to help you teachers or educators that are using this technology use it in your core instruction. The last thing I just want to talk about real quick is just some resources for y'all. So if you're looking at, or if you have 3D printers or you're using 3D printers, there's a lot of resources to help you. Thingiverse will help you with millions of 3D models, or My Mini Factory. These are some resources there. And then obviously, if you want to incorporate building your own with our design challenges, Tinkercad is the way you're going to do that. Okay, so I know we're at the end of the time right now. So if there's any questions and stuff, I'll stop sharing my screen here. But thank you all. Hopefully you got inspired if you have 3D printers. And if you have any more questions, go ahead and reach out to myself, or you can reach out to Donna, who is in the chat box as well, from Camcore, who's the sponsor for this podcast. So we are here to help you out.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, both Braden and Isabella. Also, thank you to Donna Solomon and Camcore for sponsoring us. I do want to take a moment. We can't put on this conference without the generosity of sponsors like Boxlight and Merge EDU and Camcore. So with that being said, for those of you who are interested in any of these solutions, please feel free to reach out to Donna Solomon from Camcore. We'll post her email address in the chat. She would love to hear from you guys, and she can connect you with both Braden and Isabella. So thank you both. Just a few more quick housekeeping items. I'm going to. So we've got a few things coming up. We've got Kumo Space after this. Take an opportunity to meet with some of our speakers as well as other participants. Also, make sure to visit the exhibit hall, where you will find vendors like Camcore and Donna, where you can ask all of your questions and get information about how to buy some of the things you've seen today. And then coming up at 12:25, we have for the first time, at least that I remember in having our technology conferences, we have our student voice panels. So see what our students think about technology usage here in Palm Beach County. So with that being said, I want to thank Camcore for sponsoring this session, as well as Merge EDU and Boxlight for providing some valuable information. And thank you to all of you out there watching us for participating and taking the day to spend with us. So with that being said, I just want to thank you for joining us.